We've got the Keylab 88 Mark III in the studio. Arturia sent this over to me. They're not paying me to make the video, and I don't even have affiliate links. But obviously, I consider this as payment. That's why it says paid promotion at the beginning. Get that out of the way. What is this keyboard all about? Who is it for? Let's talk about it. I've got recent videos on the Keylab 61 key, so I'll put links to that in the description where I go in a little bit more about like making a custom template for something like battery, which I'm using in this video here. And I also talk a little bit more about the sounds and finding sounds in Analog Lab Pro. So make sure you check that video. I don't want to cover too much of the stuff that everybody else is going to cover in this video. So what I want to do is show you how I've made a couple of templates, what kind of stuff you can do with this keyboard, and then help you decide if this is something you want to pick up. So let me know what you think about it in the comments, and anything that you want to see in regards to any of the Arturia keyboards and ecosystem that they've got set up, and how it might help you out and what you might actually use. And the thing with this one, of course, is the hammer action keys. I would say the feel of this piano is fantastic. And what I will use this for in my studio is not have it set up as my controller. I don't think it'll even fit inside my little slot here for this desk. But what I will use it for is anytime I need the full piano feel for myself, and even more importantly, when I have other people in the studio who play piano and don't like the feel of a jello-y keys, non-weighted keyboard. I myself have gotten used to that over the years. And when I first started playing on this keyboard, I was like, you know what? I don't really need the hammer action. But now I'm already used to that, and just playing the piano feels so good. I may have to figure out some new way to have this thing just always in my studio. Things that you're going to miss on this one, things that I would miss in comparison to, say, the complete control keyboards, is not having the lights. And the only time I really find myself missing the lack of lights is when you're using something like a key switch patch, and you can see which keys are actually the key switches down below. So I would love to see them add something like that in the future, but I've got a fix for that I think might be kind of cool and might, benefit some people. Take a plugin like Contact, and I've got here the Poseidon brass library from Audio Imperia. It's a brand new one that you should definitely check out. You can see down at the bottom I've got the keys that are playing these trumpet patches, and then I've got key switches down below. So usually it's something like C-1. And so what I've done here is I've made a template called Orchestral. I've got it set so that these pads down at the bottom are always going to trigger the key switches. Those key switches are going to often be in different spots depending on where you've transposed your keyboard. And even on an actual 88 key keyboard, those key switches are down here somewhere. So you have to go octave down to get to them. And now I don't need to do that. So I've got my trumpet samples right here in the middle where I want to play them. And then I've got my pads set to be the key switches for Audio Imperia's virtual instrument. So I don't even need to have that light control anymore. And if I transpose my keyboard so that the trumpet's a little higher, my pads stay the same because they are just set to certain MIDI notes. So a really nice way to use the pads for something completely different. And I think that is going to be a bit of a game changer for a lot of people. I've got my orchestral template right here. All I have to do is hold it down to edit it. And then you can see I can go in and change the settings and decide with this template what the pads are doing. So I went to pad bank D. Pad 1 is going to be set to C-1. And right now the color is set to a bank. You could just click on it and change that to a custom color. And then now I can go right here and I can change the pad to have a totally different color. So that's how easy it is to make your own templates here with the keyboard itself. Very cool stuff. And you can see that I've got a bunch of different ones set up. I've got one for battery, one for Serum, and they automatically come with settings for Arturia and for your DAW. Let's go to battery and have a look at what I did for battery. And again, if you want to see how I've set this up, go watch my 61 key video. So now I've got that one set up so that when I hit the kick, it says kick, snare, hats, open hi-hat. Not having to get a separate pad device is actually a great feature of this keyboard. And I just went in and adjusted the sensitivity of it because I wanted the pads to react a certain way so that they felt more like how I'm used to the machine working. A difference from the old keyboard, the old Mark II, is that they now only have 12 pads instead of 16. So there is that to consider. So before I forget, I should mention a few more things about the hardware. It does come with this little bracket that you can mount on the back of the keyboard. And this is designed to be like a laptop holder or some other kind of holder, which is actually kind of cool. So it's got these little notches on the back. It also comes with a stand that you can mount on the back of your keyboard. So if you're using this for performance, you can put your music in there, which is awesome. I love that. I think there will be a black version of this keyboard. You'll have to check the website for that. I'm not entirely 100% sure about that. Another thing you should know is that they've changed the connections on the back. So they've lost some of the connections they used to have in the Mark II, which may upset people. Let me know in the comments if you're one of those people who has a Mark II and uses the control voltage inputs and outputs that they've taken off of this keyboard. The connections on the back are the same as the 61 that we're looking at here, with the exception of one more auxiliary input on this keyboard. So it has 2 auxiliary inputs on this 88 key. It is bus powered, so you just plug it into your computer and USB-C and it works just great. One thing that would be so cool for them to add is just a basic piano patch and a headphone output. Wouldn't that be great? Just so you could practice with just it, no other devices needed. The last thing I'll say about the build of it is just that it really does feel so solid. So what else can I tell you about this keyboard that's a little bit different? Let's go look at my other programs that I've made. And so you can see I've got one here for Serum. Just to start this one out, what I've done is assigned a few things. So one is to have the filter go on and off with a button. Go to your template, go to the settings, and you can see that the buttons is an option right here. So I click on the display button. You can see I've changed it to filter on. I've given it a color. It's got a MIDI number already. So what I've done is assigned this first to the master volume. I've assigned these next 4 knobs to attack, decay, sustain, and release. And then I've got the next one assigned to filter. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is these encoders. You just tap them and you will get the name that you've given them, or in the Analog Lab case, you're gonna see the name they've given them. Sort of reduces the need to have like a little screen underneath each slider. And so all you have to do is tap it to see what it is. So for each control, let's say I want to adjust the resonance with this slider right here. So let's assign fader 7 to resonance. So I'm gonna right click that. I'm gonna go MIDI learn, and we're just gonna move that one. So now filter resonance is assigned to this control right here. All I have to do is crank it up. Now I go over to my program, I just go settings and then touch fader 7. And now I can go and rename this guy as filter resonance. And now I've got resonance and filter cut right here assigned. Now that I've gone and changed my template, what I'll do is I'll go save MIDI map, and it opens up a little menu way deep in your library called MIDI CC maps. And all you have to do here is change the name to default.mmp, and that is going to now create a default Serum patch every time you open Serum that has those settings already ready to go. You've got your Serum preset on the keyboard. It's an amazing kind of combination. The last thing, of course, that I should mention is the thing that it's designed to do, which is the Arturia control. Obviously a lot more integrated than any of the other virtual instruments that you're loading up. So if I just open up a patch here, so we've got brightness on this first knob. Timbre on the second one. And then we've got things like filter down below. So what happens if you just load up an Arturia virtual instrument? We can see if I'm on this track right here, and I open up the actual virtual instrument, now we're on the CMI-V, and we get the patch that we have selected for that one. which is cool. And if we don't like that, we can go to the browser and start looking for other patches. Because we're in the CMIV, not an analog lab, we're going to be limited to just CMIV patches. So I could go to genres and let's go to ambient, click down, and now we get, that's actually the first patch. And then we go to the next one. Controlling actual Arturia virtual instruments, very easy in here. Let's go to pigments just for fun. And one of my favorite virtual instruments. And I'm going to hit the browser for that guy. And now we are in the browser over here as well. So let's go to bass. And then we're going to go to sub bass. And now we can just start browsing through patches there. Let's go to the main page of pigments. And now we should be able to see where our macros are assigned to. So we've got harmonic, attack, punch, effects. We've got attack, decay, sustain, release. I like this. Okay, so on the new front page of pigments, this is the latest version of pigments, you can see that these are now going to some sort of things you want to adjust right away, like attack, decay, sustain, release. I like that a lot. And if I tap it, you can see that those are assigned. And then we've got our 4 macros, you know, the stuff that I'm most going to want to play with on something like pigments. So that's cool. And then now the last thing I should mention, of course, is the DAW control. So again, if I hit the program button, you're going to see your different programs that you've already created. There's the Arturia one to control all of their synths, including Analog Lab. And then there's the DAW one that is designed for controlling the program that you're working in. And I'm using Cubase. And all I had to do to get this to work was to go to the Arturia website and download the specific script for Cubase. So this is called MIDI remote using the Keylab 61 because there isn't an 88 key just yet. But once you do that, you get this interface down at the bottom. And I've got lots of videos on this kind of thing. Right now, the way it's set up, we've got some controls already pre-mapped, and I've changed a few. And you can just go and change these pads to be something that you use all the time. So right now, this is set to add track. I hit this first pad, it's going to add a new track. Okay, it's actually not a horrible thing for me, but do you know what I might do from the keyboard more often is actually just open the virtual instrument. So if the virtual instrument isn't open and I want to mess around with it, double click on this guy and it opens up the browser, and now I can go start changing things. So I'm going to go edit VST. So I double click on that, and now every time I press that button, I'm editing the virtual instrument that I'm on, which is very cool. So now I go to, say, this track, and I hit Edit Virtual Instrument, and I'll open up Pigments, go to this track, and I'm on the CMIV. So that's something I might do more often than add a new track, especially from the keyboard. The next one, I've got Edit Channel Settings, which is great. Same thing, just double click on it and type in Edit Channel Settings if it's not that. This next one, I don't even know what that is. It's Show Hide Direct Routing. That's useful to not me. So let's try something else. I want the mixer to pop up every time I press that button. That's something I would do all the time. So let's just type in mixer, double click on this mixer control right here. And then now, every time I press that button, up pops the mixer. And because we're set on mixer right here, I can see my tracks right here, and I can see the 4th one is this Pigments one, or piano, so I can just turn that up or down right there. And then of course we've got pan left and right as well. Where are we? And then of course we have solo and mute. So that's kind of my take on the Keylab 88 Mark III, a very, very nice keyboard. Definitely for somebody who wants to get going on the real piano feel of a keyboard. And I know a lot of people just have one of these 88 keys in their studio, and that's all they work with. So if you're a classically trained piano player and you want that piano feel, I don't think you can go wrong with this controller. It's absolutely a great experience playing the piano on it. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Arturia for sending it over. If you have any questions, make sure you hit me up in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.